Bible story time. Let's talk about how Jesus let Judas play in his face and still called him friend. Hey, but thanks. I'm trying here, author, trauma therapist. Most importantly, I am in this journey with you. And I told y'all this year, y'all gonna get Jesus and therapy. Let's talk about the healing journey that Jesus had to be on in order to choose Judas and still call him friend when he betrayed him. This story, I mean, first of all, Judas was one of the 12 disciples, right? Jesus knew, Jesus being fully God and fully man, knew that Judas was going to betray him, but yet he still chose him. He still chose him. Why? Because he had a purpose for him, because he knew that Judas would bring him into his glory. Even though Judas didn't know what he was doing, and Judas knew that he was betraying Jesus, Jesus knew that this betrayal was for his growth, that if he didn't die, we couldn't live, right? And so Jesus was willing to allow this man to be in his inner circle because he knew that by being close to the very thing that was going to hurt him, the very thing that was going to betray him, the very thing that was going to ultimately um, send him to his death, he knew that the purpose that he came to fulfill had to be fulfilled through Judas's deceit. And so for some of us, we are sitting back and we have experienced hurt and betrayal and from people that we chose and people that we didn't choose, that we didn't know that was going to betray us, but they did. And instead of us being bitter, what if we use that as an experience? What if we said, wow, this is not the path that I wanted. Wow, this is not the role I wanted this person to play in my life. Instead of being bitter and resentful that I went through this, how can I say this betrayal pushed me to be who I am today? Y'all know that I've told y'all my story that my divorce pushed me into opening my clinic and opening my private practice to help other women that are going through divorce and relational betrayal, right? Like me going through the trauma of my dad leaving me was what I needed in order to push me, or what God used to push me into helping other people heal their childhood wounds, right? So Jesus and Judas, when Jesus um, when the plot came against Judas, Judas went. I'm in Matthew 26. Judas agrees to betray Jesus. In verse 14, he says, Then one of the 12, the one called Judas, went to the chief priest and asked, What are you willing to give me if I hand him over to you? So they counted out for him 30 silver coins. That's it, Judas? 30 silver coins, right? And then Judas waited for an opportunity to betray Jesus. Now, look at the thing. Look here. Judas knew what he was already going to do. He knew what he was going to be paid to do, and he still did it. Jesus knew it too, right? So then, when Jesus has the Last Supper, Jesus then tells them that the one who I give the bread to is the one that's going to betray me. And then he tells Judas, Go do what you got to do, right? Because at this point, Jesus already knows that Judas's betrayal is going to set the groundwork for Jesus's resurrection, right? So he's like, go do what you got to do because you don't even know what you're going to be used for. And when we are getting healed out of a situation, when we are seeing something where someone seems to be doing evil, but it looks like they are prospering, it looks like they're doing good. Like, what if we had the mindset to say, keep doing what you're going to do because what God is going to bring out of this, baby, like those little 30 pieces of silver, you sit with that because the cattle on 1,000 hills belong to my father, right? And my father will avenge and repay. He will restitute everything that was stolen from me. So their betrayal ends up being the burial and then the resurrection of God. So then we get to verse 50, and I love this. Verse 50 is now they're in the garden, and the Garden of Gethsemane, and this is Judas comes in and brings the people to arrest Jesus. And Jesus says in verse 50, Jesus replied, Friend, do what you came to do. Baby, like Judas comes and tries to kiss him, and he's already told the guards, the one I kiss is the one that you're going to get. Jesus already knew, like, stop playing in my face. Now the time is gone. Like, for the last 3 years, I've been having to tolerate because I knew that you had a purpose in my life. But now, go and do what you came to do because now's the time for my glory, right? And so when we get to a point where we are now accepting that the trials and the tribulations that we've gone through, the situations, the people that we hurt, that tried to hurt us, that they no longer have any more power, that God is simply going to use their betrayal for our glory and for our good and his glory, then we can get to the point to say, friend, like, when will we get healed enough to call the person who pushed us to the point of getting healing a friend? Because what they've done in our lives, the purpose, the perspective has now shifted. And I said, while I don't believe that my God may have caused these hard things, I am fully convinced that our God will use the hard things in your life so that the betrayals that seem like they were going to break you are now the friends that push you through towards your breakthrough. I hope this helps. Follow for more. Meet me in the comments.